Hey, welcome back guys, welcome back on Scatter. Today we are gonna create a sci-fi sphere effect based on some primitive techniques, but let's just see what we are going to create. Okay guys, here we are in a new fresh Houdini scene. So let's just start with creating a new sphere. Put the primitive type to polygon, maybe increase the radius to 2. Okay, that's great. And the center to 2.3 on the y-axis. Now create a facet and click on unique points to separate all the primitives in the sphere. And now create a new primitive sub. In here, do transformation, and in the scale put a value of 0.9 to give a little tiny scale here on each primitive. Alright. Now add spring to create a nice animation. And in the forces here, put turbulence to 1 by 1 by 1. So let's just hit play to see what we have. Okay, that's great. So we have nice animation. Now here, create a file cache to bake the animation on the disk and save it here. And 1 and 240, yeah, that's great. Okay, now save to disk, and that's cool. Here in PGO, okay, save to disk. Okay, now load the geometry from the disk here and add a little time warp to invert the animation. So let's put in the input range 240 by 1 and in the output range 1 to 120. So here we are. We have a nice sphere construction here. Activate the 24 frame by second. Okay. And now we have a fun part. Create a new primitive up. And dive inside, and in here create a new pyro noise. Plug the position into the position and the signal here in the color of the sphere. Okay, activate it, and in the output let's just activate the output correction and activate the bias, the gain. Okay, leave everything else by default here. And now let's just promote the frequency and the offset and the CC bias, CC gain, and the CC amplitude too. Okay, now let's just adjust the noise here and to control the scale of each primitive. So leave the frequency by default, or something like 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Yeah, that's great. The bias, just adjust the offsets first. So let's copy parameter, paste relative reference, and let's just put a value like $f divided by 100. Yeah, that's cool. So this is our animation. Okay, this is great. And in the bias, let's put a key at the frame 1 put a value of 0, so everything is black. And at the frame 120, let's put a key to 1. Yeah, that's cool. So now we have a nice animation from black to white with a noise animation into it. Okay, just before creating the scale by the $CR parameter, let's just create a UV texture to have some UV on the sphere. Bring a UV texture sub and put it in polar, and the scale at 5 by 5 by 5. That's gonna be great. And now create a new primitive sub here. Do transformation, and in the scale copy parameter here, paste to relative reference, paste copy relative reference, and in here $CR. Okay, let's just see what we have here. So we have a cool animation with the scale influenced by the color parameter. That's cool. And now we will adjust the rotation to give a little bit more animation on it. So here, copy parameter here, paste copy reference here too, and in the first frame put a key at the 360. Put a key. Alright. At the frame 130, sorry. Let's put a key to 0 to give a nice little movement at the end. Let's put at the frame 145 a -15 value, and at the frame 200 and maybe 212, yes, it's great. Put a key to 0 again. So let's see what we have. Just to give a little bounciness to the scale effect, go to the primitive verb again, and let's just increase the gain to 1 by 1 by 1. So now we have a nice bouncing effect on the scale. Alright. So here we are with our effect. So now let's just add some details to it. Create a new for each loop here, and in here, instead of piece attribute name, deactivate that to have the primitive in the loop. Okay, and let's just add a new transform node with a pivot to $CX, $CY, $CEZ to center the pivot on the center of the piece, and then just scale it on 0.9, 0.9 and 0.9. Okay. Now at the end of it, let's create a new poly extrude node and add the distance to 0.035 to have a little extrude on each piece, and remember to output back here to have a complete piece. Okay, and to fine-tune all the details, create a new poly bevel and let's put the bevel type to corner, the default entity to all edges, the relative inset to something like 0.05 and the repetition to 2, or maybe something like 0.3. Okay, that's cool. Let's create finally a facet. Alright, and post compute the numbers. Okay, this is our main shape. So now here, let's organize that. Put here on the side. Now in here add a copy node, and let's just bring to a sphere node here. So here primitive to copy, and in here our animation. Alright, and let's just adjust the scale to the sphere to something like 0.055 to have nice little sphere at the corner of each primitive. Okay, that's cool. That's really cool. And finally add a curve at the end of the primitive here to have our outline of each pieces. Okay, and let's just add to that a polywire sub. Okay, maybe increase the division on 8 and the radius to something like 0.01. Okay, so here we have a nice curve animation. That's cool. Again, create a facet here and post compute the normals. And just to have the result, merge all the 3 branches on here, here, and here. So we have our sphere on the corner, the main pieces inside the outline based on a curve, and everything with our nice animation. Okay, now let's create 2 main surfaces materials. Okay, first one, name it something like main shape, and the second something like balls links. Okay, for the first one, in the diffuse, leave the intensity and the color by default, and in the roughness, click on the use map button and go to the maps and use the specular maps for this tutorial, and increase the amount to 1. It will give a little reflection metallic effect on each shape. It's gonna be really cool. And in the balls link material, create just give the intensity a value of 0, and the reflect base something like 1 in intensity and 1 in metallic reflection, and for the roughness something like 0.1 to have a really nice chrome effect on each balls and links outside the main shape. Okay, now assign it. So here in our main shape, create a new material, create 3 new material actually. Alright, so in here let's put the main shape material. Okay, in here for the sphere let's put the balls link material. Okay, and same thing here, let's put the balls link materials, merge everything. Okay, now add an environment light to the scene, check the HDR map for this tutorial. Okay, and put the light exposure to something like 2 and the transform like something like 90. Okay, that's cool. And now create a new camera, control click something like that. Okay, that's cool. And let's just put a null before the cam to give a nice rotation to the whole scene. So let's put in the rotation y $f divided by 5 to have a nice smooth camera movement. Okay, that's great. And in here let's just create a little traveling movement. So at the frame, around the frame 130, let's just put a key. Alright, and at the first frame let's zoom a little bit inside the scene. Okay, something like that. Okay, and shift click on the translate name, and let's adjust the curve to an easy out here. Okay, so let's just see what we have. Okay, the animation is really cool. Okay, perfect. Okay, now we have that, so let's just create a new render node, a Mantra PBR node. Okay, and let's just see what we have in render. Okay, so here we are. We have a really nice render with nice reflection effect on each triangle here when the light is bouncing. So that's cool. Let's just adjust the Mantra node. So put something in the start hand range, something like 15 and 180 for the hand frame. Maybe something like 6 by 6 pixel samples as usual. And let's just, if you want, increase the resolution of our camera to something like 1920 to 1080, the HD format. Okay, and just before launch the render and saving the frames to the disk, let's just here go to the edit parameter interface, and in the render properties type in the filter EXR to bring the metadata of the Mantra node, and click on the set EXR data window and bring in to the metadata folder in our parameter. Let's just accept, and in the here in the metadata output, okay, and in here deactivate the set EXR data window, and just like that, Mantra does not crop the render at rendering time, and everything gonna be really clean in After Effects with no compression or a bug for file format. It's gonna be really cool at compositing time. Okay, so now let's just go back to the output and the image render, and let's just save the frame to the disk, and we will see the result at in After Effects at compositing time. Okay, we are now in After Effects for the compositing. This is our render of the scene. So let's just put the cursor at the end frame, something like that. So that'd be great. Okay, and I've created for this scene a nice background, so you can use it if you want. And let's just put it in 3D and create a new camera node, and just put some key to give a nice camera movement to the compositing. So in there, click on C to give the camera tool, and let's just zoom in by right clicking. Okay, now create a new adjustment layer and bring the magic bullet looks effect to it, and in the looks choose at the bottom of the column the subtle film soft effect. Okay, that's cool. Rename it looks, duplicate it, and in the edit choose for the looks effect a blockbuster effect. Okay, put it underneath the looks. Okay, and set the opacity to something like 25. Okay, maybe decrease a little the opacity to something like 15. Okay, that's cool. And now create a new solid, a black solid, and put the Video Copilot optical flare effect to it. And now in the preset effect, choose the blue digital one. Okay. Put it underneath the looks. Okay, great. And put it something like here. Let's just create the screen effect here. Okay. Put the flare here. And in the source type, put it in 3D. And just like that, our flare will have the camera movement we added before. Okay. And let's just adjust the flicker to something like 25 for the speed and 25 for the amount. Okay, just Control S. And now let's just finally add something called RSMB. It's a motion blur effect in post-production. So if you want something like that, you have to buy it. It's a really cool plugin, and it will give some really nice, interesting result for motion blurring. So that's great. Call it RSMB and put it just before the camera and just on top of the render sphere images. Okay. And finally, let's just add something like that, call it lens, and put a blur effect on it, a camera lens blur effect, just for the beginning. Okay, adjust the radius to something like 25, put a key, and add the second one, put it to 0. Okay. And now just to finish the scene, let's just grab our composition here and put it in a new composition. Okay. And let's just bring the position and click on the stopwatch here and alt click on the stopwatch. It will bring the expression tab, and put this one, wiggle, parentheses 0.5, comma 20, close parentheses. Okay. It will bring a little shaky cam on the whole composition, and we see we have something like a black area in here and in here. So let's just add a little effect on it, stylize, motion tile, and it will mirror the end of the frame with mirror edges here, and put something like 110 and 110 in here to have a mirroring effect at the end of the composition. Okay. And just to give a little details on the final comp, let's just create a new adjustment layer and add some grain. Final output. Okay. And for the size, put something like 0.1, and for the intensity something like 0.2, and in the color click on monochromatic. Let's just hit 0 to see what we have, and that's our final effects. So I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and see you next time on Scatter for another amazing things in Houdini and After Effects.